Dr. Rosas had taken videotape of one such event.
Ahí está detenida en el cielo. Estamos percibiendo una luz. Ahí vemos que se regresa sobre la ciudad al norte. Podemos ver.
Rarely does one see footage with this degree of clarity and quality. Now we understood why the people of this region were so open to discussion, for we too were overwhelmed by the scope of the events. The unknowns were overtly attempting to get attention. But why? As we searched for answers to elusive questions, the ovni activity increased in the air corridors of the volcano zone, over the cities of Puebla, Metepec, Chapil, and Atlisco. Then, in rapid succession, the pieces to the puzzle began to fall into place. Beginning with an innocent home video taken during a vacation some months earlier. Ms. Galvin did not notice a dark object hovering over the volcano. It would have remained undetected if not for an observant friend that noticed it during a screening of the tape. Recalling Jaime's request for assistance, the video was sent to Programas, where slow motion was employed to study the object. A young man named Max Hofbauer filled in additional pieces. His investigation of the phenomena centered near his home in the state of Puebla, in the zone of the volcanoes, where the objects were reported frequently, and most specifically around Mount Popocatépetl. Max reported another clue. The ovnis regularly flew between the volcanoes Popocatépetl and Ixtaxotl in the direction of Puebla and over what many believe is a base, Teotepetl. Armando Nicolau is an archaeologist employed at Programas, and with friends had recently climbed the sleeping sentinel, Mount Popocatépetl. Since their last climb, they noticed that the trails had changed dramatically, and once on top of the crater, his camcorder recorded an amazing event. The normally cool water of the lagoon was hot. The mountain was beginning to vent. The long dormant volcano was coming to life. The sleeping warrior was awakening. Been smoking for about how long? No?
1 week. 1 week, then was smoking the volcano, but very strong smoke. Because later the volcano makes signal, Indian signal, making ring, and the ring went bad. Now it's very, very rare the smoke.
Mount Popocatépetl is the fourth largest volcano in the world, with an elevation of 17,887 feet. It is also the most dangerous volcano, for Popo lies between Mexico City and Puebla. Should this sleeping giant blow its top, the explosion alone could trigger a megaquake that could destroy these two historic cities and affect over 30 million people, 1/3 of the population of Mexico. For months we had followed the trail that eventually led us to the foot of this active volcano. But it all began in Mexico City during the great solar eclipse of July 11, 1991.
one of the prophecy was complete. All of Mexico was aware of the presence of what the Maya called the Lords of the Sky. Phase 2 began with the nightly sightings in the volcano zone. Indeed, the OVNI were the masters of the skies, demonstrating breathtaking aerial acrobatics that defied gravity and scientific principles. They hovered over Puebla, placing the fourth largest city in Mexico on a UFO alert. And they flew formations over Atlisco and Metepec, drawing the investigators closer and closer to the mountains, and finally to the fourth largest volcano in the world, the sleeping warrior, Popocatépetl, which dangerously looms over the people of the Anahuac Valley. Between the two massive volcanoes, the sleeping warrior and the sleeping woman, a historical location of destiny and fulfillment of past predictions. For it was here in November of 1519 that Hernan Cortez, braving icy winds and furious storms, set foot on the path that bears his name. Beneath his camp lay the Valley of Mexico, the seat of Aztec power and the destiny of a people. Adding emphasis to the knowledge of the oracles, Popocatépetl began to vent its fury. The conqueror, writing to the King of Spain, recorded the following: both by day and night, a great column of smoke comes forth and rises up into the clouds, as straight as a staff, with such noise and violence that the whole mountain should fall down. With the descent of the Spaniards into the Valley of Mexico, the long prophesied day of destruction had arrived, and the forecasted 500 years of darkness and ignorance had begun. The fifth sun had culminated. Almost 500 years later, we are living, according to Maya prophecy, in the age of the sixth sun, and, as in Cortez's day, the sleeping warrior is awakening from a long hibernation. Perhaps the earth changes foretold by the ancient messengers of destiny were all-encompassing and not focused solely on the inhabitants of Mexico. The Maya envisioned changes, no matter how destructive, as a necessary progression, believing that from the ashes of catastrophe would bloom a stronger alliance that was essential to the rebirth of civilization and to the recycling of nature. The locals said that if we stayed the night, we could almost be guaranteed a sighting, so we set up a camp near the foot of Popocatépetl. As darkness descends, our camp takes on an eerie glow, and we found ourselves discussing the possible motives of the mysterious visitors. Why were they here? Were they testing our intelligence? Or playing games? Or were they just casual observers with their own scientific agenda, researching Earth anomalies such as eclipses and volcanoes? Or were they, as the Maya had prophesied, the messengers of destiny, here to alert us to the coming Earth changes predicted by the sixth sun eclipse? On a small knoll at a place called Casita Blanca, where the locals gather for UFO watch, the culmination of an exhaustive 10-month journey was about to begin. In the midst of an interview, the first ship appeared.